Susan Gardner here from Municipal World. We're in beautiful Quebec City this week, and joining us in the Municipal World Media Center is Joel Carnes from the Alliance for Innovation. Welcome.
Great to see you, Susan.
Glad to have you here with us, joining us in Canada this week. I wanted to take this opportunity while we're in the same city to chat with you a little bit about local government space and how it connects to management science and some of the things that maybe you're seeing happening in the context of local government today.
Yeah, something near and dear to my heart. We just finished an event with the Drucker Institute in California. Peter Drucker is the founder of modern management science, right? It didn't exist before Peter Drucker came about. And it turns out that Dr. Drucker was fleeing the Nazis. And so he left Germany in the 30s and came to NYU in New York and had a distinguished professorial career there, and then moved out to California and had a second distinguished professorial career there, teaching for 60 years and writing 70-some books.
So that background to Drucker is something maybe a lot of people don't know about. That certainly he's well known for his role in contemporary management practices, but how he came to that is an interesting piece.
Yes, the backstory I wasn't really aware of myself, the whole why of it. And as someone who was fleeing the Nazis, he saw tyranny evolve, and he saw the effect of inefficient government and inefficient systems and ineffective systems. His whole thing is effectiveness, not efficiency. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Efficiency is just doing something well. You can be very efficient and still not be doing the right things. And what he postulated, and I believe is true as well, is that ineffective systems, ineffective government, ineffective management open spaces that tyranny can then come into and create opportunities. The corollary of that is, if we are effective in our government, in our systems, then we close the gap and tyranny cannot enter. And we believe that local government is the bulwark against this. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is the most important interaction that most citizens have with their government, and that the effective functioning of local government is a bulwark against tyranny.
So there's this concept, well-known book written, Administrative Evil, that examines this same principle, that this concept of efficiency, if we don't focus on the public good, that it can just be about getting the job done faster, better, really the Nazi process, right, that formed the background to this. So what are we seeing today, do you think? Is there a danger that we're focusing too much on efficiency and taking out that perspective of effectiveness for the public good?
I think there's always a danger of that. Danger might be too strong of a word, but there's a tendency towards that, because we like being efficient, right? We want to deliver more for less, and we want to clean more miles of sewer pipe. Unfortunately, what happens is if you're trying to be as efficient as possible and measuring yourself in the miles of sewer pipe cleaned, what you do is you actually skip the clogs, because you're just trying to I want to get 100 miles of pipe cleaned. That mile is really hard, so I'm just going to skip it. Or you're measuring the wrong thing. You're being very efficient in what you're trying to do, but you're not being effective because you're not actually solving the problem. And so there is a tendency towards that. But the answer to it is purposeful, mindful effectiveness, priority-based budgeting, other elements of just working to make sure that your actual output is in alignment to what you're trying to achieve.
And how do you ensure that, because I think it's important, right, in all of this, that we keep the human factor in sight, right? That, that's the reason for that's the reason for existing, really. It's
It really is.
social purposes.
Yeah.
That's local governments were founded on social purposes, from, making communities better, safe drinking water, roads, public health, all of those things. That's the foundation of community, right? So how do we ensure that, as things evolve, we keep that in sight? What are best practices?
Well, the entire alliance is built around not just efficient government. We are built around building thriving communities by transforming local government strategy, operations, culture, and ecosystem. By starting with the thriving communities part, we know what we're trying to achieve, and we stay in the effective mode instead of the efficient mode. But there are a number of just very tactical things you can do. We have members coming to us frequently, and they just want to do human-centered design. Teach us how to be more human-centered. And it's just a matter of some and using some design principles in creating forms, in creating processes for working through your system.
It can be simple.
It is very simple. It's just a matter of mind shift. If you're starting with the result that you're trying to achieve, which is a satisfied end customer that's getting a fantastic experience, you're just going to ask different questions along the way, rather than how can I do this as fast as possible. Good government as a movement.
Okay.
Right, it's an ongoing thing. What was great government in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even 5 years ago, is not the same today. And so we just feel compelled to keep driving and to find those folks who are interested in driving forward. Not just innovation for innovation's sake, not just technology for technology's sake, but true impact, true effectiveness. And our mission is just to keep that going. It's not to try and boil the ocean and change every little thing in every little government, but it is to find those best practices, those case studies, and create little windows of opportunity for everyone to kind of follow along.
Where do you see the biggest shifts today in, the changes in what good government represents?
Well, certainly citizen engagement. Citizens are demanding more while wanting to pay less.
Absolutely.
And I don't know that construct is new so much as the effectiveness of social media in amplifying the voices of different constituencies. So what we are seeing is a really nice response on behalf of local governments and meeting people where they are, both virtually and physically, creating mini local governments in a box, if you will, taking a van, packing it full of a bunch of stuff, driving it to an underserved neighborhood and saying, this is your government, come touch it. Right, come be part of it.
Yeah, and those stories, and we shared a few of them from the Transforming Local Government Conference. Very powerful, moving stories. I mean, they were moving for us when we had those conversations, but our audience found them really moving and inspiring as well. So I think in this, there's really clearly still the power for local government to have an incredibly powerful impact on people's lives where they are, and to inspire.
And we hope that there's a movement for all local government employees to feel empowered. Right? That these don't have to be driven from council or from the mayor's office, that very low budget, low tech solutions can be implemented to take you out there into the community and really be with your constituents.
So at the administrative level, we know this kind of passion for local government work is so critical. Sometimes there can be a little bit of tension between the municipal council and the administration. And how do you balance that? What's the
if I had the answer to that, it would be a $1 billion organization. But what we are trying to do is at least use our unique position as a nonprofit. We're not affiliated with any particular side of the equation. So we act as a kind of neutral convener and try to bring people together either around a topic, whether it be opioids, or just around capacity building. Hey, let's create an innovation league in Southern California. And as a neutral party who works with nonprofits and academics and electeds and appointeds and the private sector, we're able to convene conversations where we can create kind of a nice level playing field for everyone to come in and build trust.
And that really, trust is kind of foundational, right, for for those relationships inside your organization and out.
And
So-
especially multi-sector, right? We tend to look from government at the private sector as some kind of necessary evil. But if we look at truly wanting to build thriving communities, it's a necessary. Right? We're not going to do that without the private sector. We're not going to do that without academia. We're not going to do that without nonprofits. So our role is to help build those connections and build that trust so that people can really be effective.
So, we're here in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
The Alliance for Innovation, of course, is based in Scottsdale, Arizona, but the Alliance isn't bound by
By time or
the
space.
borders of the United States. So, what's a message that you might have for Canadian communities that are interested in the work of the Alliance and how to get involved? What's the opportunity for them?
The opportunity is to get involved. Right now we only have 4 member communities in Canada, and they're all in the West. I would love to see us gather more across the breadth of the country and to begin a continental conversation. We want to bring in some members from Mexico as well and talk about what does local government in North America look like, right? What are some of the challenges we're facing as North Americans? And certainly in what we've done historically are the members that we have in Canada are typically close to the border, they're connected to American cities, and there are issues that cross borders there. And we want to continue to work on that and continue to dive into that. But we want to expand the conversation north and south and really try to have a very broad, integrated conversation.
So really maximize those opportunities to learn from each other and also to help each other through, those situations we may have found ourselves in.
What do these multi-sector partnerships look like in Canada? What do they look like in Ottawa versus in Baja California, right? And what can we learn from each other? People are doing innovative things all over, and once we kind of crawl out of our space and look around, there's a lot that we can learn.
There is a lot, and it helps us get that different perspective, right?
And I realize I didn't answer your exact question, so for people that are interested, I'd have them go to the Alliance website, transformgov.org, and just click on the Contact Us and reach out to us, and we'll call you and talk about joining the Alliance and becoming a member.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to chat
Susan.
with you.
You too.
I'm Susan Gardner from Municipal World, here with Joel Carnes from the Alliance for Innovation. We share your stories.